Strap yourself in for Keeping It Real with Jac Ral.
Welcome back, Keepers. This is another episode of Keeping It Real with Jac and
Ral.
Ral.
We're back.
We are back.
Oh, we were back last week. We're back again this
We're
week.
back again this week, and we'll be back again next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're
Whether you-
listening in and
whether
you're
you
liking us.
like it or not.
And rating us
be
and
back.
sharing our episodes. Okay, Ral, introduce this episode, please.
Yeah, so this episode is a request from my daughter Alex. So
Alex.
just a reminder, if you've got a request, let us know and we will do an episode on it. She said to me, Mum, can you and Jac do an episode of when you've made a mistake?
Oh, can we do it? How long have you got, Alex?
This might be another longer episode.
been a lot of
no,
years
but
of
she said, she's starting her career, so she's just, in full time. This is her second year of full-time employment.
suggestion, Alex.
And she goes, sometimes, when you're young and you stuff up, you just think
The world
that's
is
it.
ending.
The world's ending.
That's
and
it.
she said
It's
it would
all
be
over.
really nice to listen to an episode where you share stories about other people, what they've done wrong, and where they are now.
I like sharing stories about other people and what they've done wrong and not us.
Yeah. So I actually put something out on LinkedIn and got a few stories,
good.
but we'll start with our own because I'm sure we could fill an episode of stuff ups.
Easy. Alex, if you're listening, darling, great topic. And my one thing I want to say is mistakes don't define your career or define you, but how you respond to them does.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're going to
and I
talk
think
about
you
with this
will
episode.
see a theme of when I share these mistakes
Yeah.
that of us and others.
Yeah.
That there's a they don't define you.
No, they
but
don't.
It's how they responded.
Correct.
And it will define you.
Correct.
Well, it won't define you, but how you respond is
Oh,
important.
how you respond does define you. I think it
okay,
does,
true.
actually. Have you heard about my 4 R's?
No.
So this episode...
my mind went all weird places then. Go
Wow,
on.
funny you say that because this is not about failure porn, Ral. This is about...
What about what?
Failure porn.
Okay, my mind didn't go there.
Well, it has now. This is about the 4 R's: resilience,
Yeah.
repair, reputation, and recovery.
Oh, okay.
Do you like those?
I do like them. Did you make them up?
Yeah, of course I did.
Just pull them out of your 4 asses.
4 asses.
The bloody size of 4
Yeah,
asses.
well, that's true. Bloody especially after Christmas, right? So again, mistakes don't define you. How you respond does. And notice I responded with such grace.
Such grace.
All right, off you go. Tell us about your failure.
Okay, so I was working at National Australia Bank in technology, and my job was to maintain the entire ATM and point of sale network.
Yep.
For Australia.
Yep.
So sometimes little links would go down.
Yep.
And
Do you use an ATM today?
no, I can't even remember the last time I used an
Speaking of
ATM.
change.
So I don't know what. I was doing some little maintenance. Like you had to do maintenance all the time. And I still don't even know what happened, but I typed in the command that brought the entire system down. And I'm pretty, like you had to type in shutdown.
Y2K.
Yeah, I think there was something similar that you did for maintenance, but I typed in shutdown.
Yeah,
And then
shut
I think it
down.
even came up with the are
Not
you
countdown.
sure? And I pressed yes. And then when everything goes in slow motion? And I'm just thinking,
Yes, watch
why
your
the
life.
hell did I do that? And I remember
Flash
it was
past
like,
you.
I don't know, 9 o'clock at night. And you just saw all the screens going red because everything's coming down.
Ral.
And then I knew the phone rings and the first call you get is from the call centre.
Of course.
Oh, no. Normally the first call you get is from the call centre saying they've got all these calls. I rang them straight away and
well
I go,
done.
you are about to get
Speaking
hit.
of repair,
The system's
or
down.
response,
I'll bring it back up as soon as I can.
get ready.
And it's still going down. So I knew I couldn't do anything for
until
a few
it
minutes.
shut
So
down
I
totally.
ran into my manager's office and just said, I don't know what I've done. I've completely stuffed up, but I've shut down the ATM and point of sale system and I'm going to bring it back up. And I ran out and I'm yelling to people to like help and stuff. But I thought it came back in like 20 minutes, right? Now this was about 25 years, probably 30 years ago, actually. If that happened today, it would be front page news. It would be leading news story.
It would be a royal commission, love.
It it would buy National Australia Bank's entire, shopping grounds to a halt because some bloody dickhead.
Shut down.
Like you see that, like now it's leading edge news when it's down for 2 minutes.
Yeah, but we move on, Ral.
Oh my! And you know what?
It's scary. There's no doubt
the
about
other
that.
thing too, it came back up, and my manager he came up and said what happened, and I just said, look, I seriously don't know. I just
had a moment.
I just had a moment.
Yeah.
And he actually thanked me for my response.
Yes, and
so
how
we were talking about it
quickly-
before, and he said, he goes, well, clearly I don't need to say don't do that again.
Well, if you're not winning, you're learning. I bet you
And
never
he
did
just
it
said,
again.
but I just really appreciate that you did everything straight away to get it up and running. And, the fact that I'd called the call centre and it's like, my mind went into, oh, my God, this is so bad.
Yeah.
But anyway,
But you got through.
here I am.
And how long did that sort of, resonate with you? Like, how long did it, reverberate with you, I should say, like its impact on you? Was it great?
I can't remember it being an impact, and I think probably
There you
because all the people on my shift, you did shift work, were probably hanging, laughing at me about it.
Yes.
It's
Which is a nice culture,
I was
actually.
like, fine. Yeah, and it was a bit of a, so.
Because you didn't kill anybody in this.
I didn't kill
act,
anyone.
you
And
know?
again,
I mean,
even the call centre, they just said, thanks for giving the heads up.
Yeah.
The heads up, they probably got about 90-second grace before they
yes,
could.
The calls went crazy.
But,
how long was it down for?
I was down for about 20 minutes. It sort of took that long to
Sure.
go down and then come back up.
20 minutes.
Yeah, I know. But like I said, if it was today.
I know. It's like dead air when
this is across Australia.
when you're on air and something happens and there's no music, talk, ads, whatever, and they call it dead air, where there's a problem.
Yeah.
1 second feels like an hour. So 20 minutes
Anyway.
is nothing in the scheme of things.
All
but
survived.
Of course, no one died in the act.
No.
The Jack Phillips Hall of Shame is huge.
long?
It's long. It's wide. It's huge. Couple that come to mind is bitching about somebody and sending that email to them,
Right?
and not just somebody.
Yeah,
but
thanks, I got
Somebody
that.
really senior, really influential.
Yeah. What did you learn? Never. Don't ever put that in an email.
Well, what I learned was immense, actually, when I think about it. What I learned was how you respond is everything. In that person asked to see me one-on-one. I've never been more nervous in all my life, and I'm not a nervy type.
How old were you when this happened?
This was probably in my mid-30s.
Okay.
In corporate. I'd only been in corporate probably 5 years, 4 years, and sat me down and said, how are you feeling? I said, yeah.
That's very nice
I said,
of them.
how quickly do you want to sack me? And to their credit, they said, we're not going to sack you over that. But if you feel that way, it's really good that we have this conversation. And I said, thank you for giving me the opportunity to have that. And I said, look, I was being bitchy and I shouldn't have been. But no, there are a couple of things that you do that I really don't like and that I think you possibly don't know about. And so we had a really great conversation, and my respect for that person grew immensely. I apologise profusely. And it taught me from that moment on, if you've got something shitty to say about somebody, don't go and talk about them behind their back. Either try and have a conversation with them about what it is that annoys you, or just don't say anything at all. So that was a great learning for me early.
And I think, and credit to your manager for doing that, because they
had
I think
power.
they've
Could have got
probably
rid of me.
done the same thing. We've all been the power, but I think again, it's how you respond. And I think the
They
greatest way to
responded
respond to that is to go, look, I
Let's have a
probably
conversation.
shouldn't have said those words, and I shouldn't have said it to that person. But there is something behind it, and let's have a chat about it.
That's exactly right. And the fact that they initiated that and said, come on, let's have a little chat. You're obviously feeling, this way toward me, and I want to understand why. And maybe there are things I'm doing that I'm not even aware of. So it was really impressive.
Yeah.
Really impressive.
I used to run a previous podcast called Authentic Leadership, so I'd interview CEOs, and I asked this one guy who I'd done a bit of work with his team on storytelling to be on the podcast. And initially, he was really honoured, and he's going, do you think I would have anything good to say? I go, yeah, absolutely. His name was Ben. I sat down with him. It was such a great interview. He'd talked about, I think he'd just done the New York Marathon.
Oh,
and
wow.
he was, with the last few Ks to go, he was FaceTiming his wife and his children, and he was crying. And it was such a beautiful, beautiful interview. And afterwards he's gone, was that okay? and he was still so full of self-doubt whether it had any value. I went, absolutely. And then I accidentally deleted
you and technology.
the entire
What is I'm not letting you
deleted
kill
it,
and
and
keep
it
her
was
away
like
from her.
delete for good. And I had to get back to him, and I felt so bad because I think to this day he probably still thinks it was shit and I deleted deliberately.
Oh, that
Ben,
was
it
why
wasn't.
you felt so bad.
It wasn't. I've ran into Ben.
No, she's Ben.
I ran
she's
into Ben several times.
Technology
in the,
and Ral shouldn't be put
at the
together.
airport. Anyway, Ben, if you're listening, you know who you are. Let's you know.
So one of the reasons why it's really important to talk about bugger ups, or F ups, is that there is a myth that leaders or people of a certain sort of age and stage, Alex, listen to this, are flawless, that they don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
That is bullshit.
Yeah. And I think it's fair. You sort of see people that are really successful and you think, even though logically you go, they probably have.
Yeah.
That you'd go, but they've never stuffed up like I have stuffed up. Of course they have.
Every single person has. So psychological safety absolutely starts with leader fallibility. Yeah? So if you are a leader listening to this, go and tell your team and your people that you make mistakes. If you haven't sort of been more vulnerable about that, because boy, it'll win you a lot of hearts.
I when I work with leaders around stories, and I do say that sharing some vulnerable stories are really powerful. It's when you've stuffed up.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk about, how do
relatability.
I become more human? How more relatable? You know what? Share a story with your team of when you've fucked up and you watch how relatable and human you are.
Totally.
Do you want me to share a few others that we got from the LinkedIn post?
Oh, I'd love you to.
This came from a mate of mine, Jill, who I used to work with at National Australia Bank. She now lives in London.
Yep.
And so she talks about it was her first year after a grad program in payments. So she was, back then in the bank. And so they'd call into the bank where card transactions would not process. And so certain codes came up on the screen. She was doing the marketing comms, right? And she had an idea. She had this great idea to create a sticker for the phones, so with the help number and our logo on it. So the hiccup was that she'd put the wrong number.
Oops.
So she'd done all this marketing. It went out to all the merchants and the number
that they called
was incorrect.
And some Betty over there in Birmingham.
Oh my goodness, I still remember that moment when I found out. So this was, this is 30 years on. So she still feels it. And she said a more experienced colleague very calmly suggested calling Telstra to see if the line I had printed was actually registered. And it wasn't. So they registered.
Quickly used it.
Yeah.
That was smart.
She said, very valuable lesson. Check everything with a fine-tooth comb. And what a brilliant example of thinking on your feet by my colleague. And I still remember his name, Dennis. What a rock star. So she is like your boss.
I love that response.
So she is Jill.
Yep.
Is the managing director of a very well-known global bank at the
Good
moment.
on her.
So
Go
again,
love it.
Doesn't define you.
No, it does not. That's a very successful person.
She had a very successful person. Back by popular demand. We are running a Finders Keepers Immersion. It's the 22nd, the 24th of April. It's at the Lansmore Millawa again, which
what
just
a location.
so looked after us last time.
King Valley.
King Valley region in Victoria. So it's about 2 and a bit hours out of Melbourne. 4 masterclasses, mentoring walks. So the mentoring walks are a hit. We do them every morning. We walk.
Good fun.
We walk out of town down to a funky little cool coffee shop.
It's a very cool coffee shop.
Jack and I shout coffee because we're that type of people.
And
then we walk back. Lots of downtime to visit Millawa Cheese, to visit Brown
But
Brothers
it's the
Winery.
connection between these leaders that come along. Now, we are doing a bit of curating of the people that come along, right?
Yep.
In that lots of people reach out and we know those people in most cases. If we don't, we get to know them so that we can make sure we're putting together a group of people that we think are going to be connected well beyond the immersion.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that play out with the WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
We had them for Fiji, we've had them for King Valley, and they continue to help each other, support each other, connect.
Weekly, daily basis
social,
that's going on.
But what I love about the Keeping It Real immersions is not only are there the masterclasses and the ability to talk to us one-to-one, ask us questions. Obviously, I end up coaching people. I love it. I can't help myself. If you're interested in getting some advice or some coaching, then that's on offer as well. But our accommodation and our food and wine.
It was
the whole environment is
cool.
so swanky. It's
running
so us.
masterclasses under a tree looking
With a glass of Chardonnay.
Look, we did not drink during glasses.
Oh,
classes. I can't even speak. But yeah, overlooking the vines, it was pretty cool. And talk about the connections. What I noticed when we ran the live podcast last year, nearly every single one of them from the both immersions was
Beachy
there. So
and
that was pretty cool. So if you're interested, we are.
There's only a few spots.
Yeah,
left.
yeah. So we're based on
getting
feedback
excited.
from everyone else. We are maxing it at eight people because that really, really helps with the connections and the intimacy and how we can work with you. So there is literally only 4 spots left as we record this. So if you want to find out more details, reach out and we will send you the brochure. One mate of mine, Cam, who does video, helps people his tagline is be less shit on video. Cam Fink, you probably know him.
Oh, yeah. Cameron,
when he first started out, he flew to Sydney to record a client keynote.
Yep.
So, flew to Sydney, recorded the keynote for their speaker reel, and then, like me, accidentally deleted
it.
the entire, not just anything, the entire film. It was like anything.
Frustrating.
So, yeah, I know for a fact that the client he deleted, he recently did their keynote, filmed their keynote. So obviously that relationship wasn't
ruined.
Wasn't ruined.
No. Oh, that's funny. That's so funny.
So there's another one. This comes from Hillary, who is again, I used to work with her at NAB. She's a chief people officer, but in large global companies. So, and now runs her own coaching company. So she said earlier in her career, she worked at an airline in Belfast International Airport. And then I remember one particular frantic afternoon, we were boarding 4 flights at the same time. The pressure was on, the radio was buzzing, and the terminal was packed with passengers. So I asked a colleague to assist a passenger who needed extra help getting to the aircraft. A few minutes later, I happened to glance out the window at the tarmac, and to my horror, I saw that the same passenger being taken off one aircraft and boarded onto another, and she had sent them to the entirely the wrong plane.
Oh, no. Oh, I love it.
So again,
I love it. It's so good hearing other people's balls ups, isn't it? Because it makes you go, oh,
yeah.
I'm not
so
alone.
Alex knows Hillary well, and so she'd be sitting there going,
I love that.
So successful people stuff up all
Of course
the
they
time.
do. I've hired badly, and the moment that person has started, thought this isn't going to work. I've really made a mistake. And then it's like, well, how long do I let this go for?
Yeah.
You got to give somebody a chance. I'm sort of conscious of their life. I'm also conscious of the culture of the team. And then recognising the sooner I acknowledge it and remedy it, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see, there's lots more examples that people shared, but it's a common, the common theme is that it absolutely didn't. There was one example where she did get sacked for it.
Okay. What did she do? Can you remember?
But it was sort of like a very toxic environment, and she thought that the reaction
Was
didn't
over the
warrant.
top.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So she said, this came from Nicole. Now she's an exec manager now and sits on boards and runs her own company. She was responsible for proofreading the catalogue.
Yep.
And she missed again. The 1800 number was wrong.
Yeah.
So we get that is such a human error.
And got sacked for it.
She said a very costly error, which I apologised immediately for.
Sure she
She's my boss threw me under the bus. HR and lawyers were called in, and I resigned soon after.
Yeah.
So she resigned because
She
of
did
that.
herself a favour,
Yeah.
got out of that environment. That's efficient. Hey, have you ever seen, heard, or been involved in a muck up where it wasn't you, but the blame was put on you?
Ooh, I don't think so.
No.
I think I would have spoken up if that was the case.
I'm sure you would have. I haven't either that I'm aware of, but I come across people when I'm coaching where they have been thrown under the bus, that great term that you just used. And we've discussed how you get around that, particularly when you've been thrown under the bus by somebody more powerful or more senior than you, and that because they're trying to protect their own reputation.
Yeah.
And I think that's a tough one.
Yeah.
A real tough one.
Yeah. And look, and I can see
Again, it
why
says a
she
lot about the
resigned,
environment.
because it says a lot about the environment. Like
totally.
you've missed, that's a typo. That's
Exactly right.
literally, not having, doing a typo wrong and getting, calling in HR and what's
What the
that
hell?
bullshit?
That is
Lawyer.
bullshit.
Like,
A lawyer. I mean, really?
God.
Have you heard of the keeping it real air technique when it comes to failure? Because I've just made it up.
my God. No,
Well,
but
so we're
tell me
talking
what
about,
you're talking about.
We're talking about failure.
Yeah.
And so I want to give our keepers, as they're thinking about their own failures, or if they're about to step into a failure, and they will because they're human. So the keeping it real air technique, and I wrote this down last night. A, acknowledge.
Yeah.
Acknowledge the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
I've
the
made a
key
mistake.
thing. If you start, the moment you start making an excuse,
Defending
if it's
it.
your fault, at the moment you start making an
Correct.
excuse, and even the excuse could be, I was a bit tired or whatever,
Yeah.
that just don't. Just don't.
No. So this is on me. Here's what
Yep.
I got wrong.
I take full control, full responsibility.
Those are the lines you should use.
Yep.
So that's the A in the keeping it real air technique when it
Yep.
comes to mistakes. The I is impact. Yeah.
Yep.
So what is the impact? Fully think through and
Yep.
understand, and then tell people, here's the impact.
Yep.
Acknowledge the mistake, and here is the impact. And think that through. Sometimes it'll be small.
Yep.
Other times it'll be shutting down ATMs for 20
yeah.
minutes, which, again, in the scheme of things, whilst at the time would have been
And
incredibly
I
stressful.
did, and me making that call was acknowledging
Yeah.
the impact straight away to say you're about to be hit.
And the R is take responsibility.
Yeah,
Okay. So that isn't just by acknowledging it or
Yeah.
identifying the impact. It's saying, here's what I will do next.
Yep.
Or here's who I need to speak with, or here's the help I will require in order to solve this problem. So acknowledge, I, impact, R, responsibility.
And I think also responsibility to be, it could be totally your fault.
Yep.
But there could be something with the process
Yes.
that would stop that from happening
Yes.
again. So it was like,
Yes.
yes, that was my fault. I completely stuffed up.
Yes.
But was there something that we could do or implement that would actually stop this human error
Correct.
from happening again? That would be a great outcome, show great initiative.
Well, that's about reflection and saying, well, okay, how do I ensure that this doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
Now, we're in a world today, we've been talking about, our last episode was about firing up your career in 2026 and the rate of change. Iteration, experimentation, the importance of test and learn. Yeah. So what a great example of that mistake has meant that we probably are going to save money in the future, or we're not going to go down that route, or we've put a Band-Aid on something that could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
So look at the positive side of things. I think that's really, really important. And here's what you can expect going forward.
Yeah.
So important to prepare and lean into it and tell as many people as you can.
Yep.
Reflect on it.
Yep. Thanks, Alex, for the suggestion.
Great.
And I think also too is
Topic.
like what you don't want, and this is what Alex hopefully the reason she suggested it. You don't want, it's what they call the domino mindset, where one little thing goes wrong and you go into this downward spiral of like, oh my God,
Yes.
and it's also, oh God, I'm so stupid. It's not about that. It's like maybe what you did was pretty stupid, but it doesn't mean you're stupid, and we've all done stuff like that. So don't make it a downward spiral. Listen to this episode, repeat, and know that there's very successful people that have
Every single person in the world
has
made
mistakes.
big
And
mistakes. In fact, look at your leader right now, Keeper, your senior most leader. Maybe it's the chairman of the board. Maybe it's somebody who you don't have a lot of access to, but who is incredibly powerful. And say to yourself, they fuck up because they do.
Maybe ask them, what's the biggest mistake you've made?
I like that. And what was the learning from it? Speaking of learning, there is the learning loop, which I just want to quickly race through. Ask yourself, what did I assume? What did I ignore? What did I rush? What signal did I override? And what pattern does this reveal? Those are good questions to prepare yourself and do that little bit of reflection. I do this with coaching. This is a learning opportunity. If you're not winning, you're learning. Quickly write down a few things, because then it will be ingrained and it'll actually help you be on the front foot for the future.
I think they're also good questions if you lead a team and someone in your team has made a mistake, to ask yourself that.
Yeah,
So it's like, what did you? Maybe you didn't communicate it properly.
Yeah.
Maybe
Often that's the case.
maybe you haven't created an environment where people feel safe to
Come forward.
ask and double check things. So
Agreed.
I think the really good leaders say to themselves, was there anything I did that contributed to
Agree.
this?
Psychologically safe environments.
Yeah.
Because of leadership fallibility, I should say. It's very true. Very true.
Absolutely. Okay, keepers, if you like
That's a wrap.
this episode, please like and share. And let's go and do a 5-star. Keehlan has just said 5-star. Do it for him.
Keehlan.
Keehlan likes 5
He's
stars.
sick of pushing 5 stars. He wants someone else to do it for a change.
We got a lot of 5 stars. Yeah. Excellent. And remember, if you want to come to the immersion, there is still a couple of spots left, but get in quick. And we'll see you next week.
Can't wait. Bye.
You've been listening to another episode of Keeping It Real with Jac Ral. If you like what you've heard, don't forget to tell others about it and give a 5-star review. They may seem confident, but they really are sensitive 5-star needy souls. Yeah, right. Keeping It Real, created by Jack Phillips and Gabriel Dolan. Produced by Keehlan Ferrari-Brown. And this really real voiceover, spoken by Richard Phillips.